So in this workspace, we are actually going to work through a bunch of information here in order to find the arc length of some arc on a given circle. Okay, so the first piece, so lots of information to sift through here. First piece of information I see here is we're given the radius of this circle A. So the radius is 83.7 yards. It's important to pay attention to the units because as I was going through this, I made a couple errors when putting in the units, and that will kind of put you back in the workspace. So be careful about that. Make sure you make note of what unit we're working with. And I also know that the measure of angle GAH, so the central angle right here, GAH is 22.3 degrees. All right, so that's given to us. And they labeled on here that this is also 83.7, this is also 83.7 because all three of these, see if I can highlight that, 1, 2, 3 are all radii. So I want to now first determine the measure of arc GH. So that's this arc right here. And since I already know the central angle to this intercepted arc is 22.3 degrees, I know that that arc is 22.3 degrees. So I'm going to degrees, and that reason is that I'm using that central angle to determine that. All right, so now I'm going to calculate the circumference of A, and I'm going to do that by using my radius. So if you highlight over actually the center of the circle, highlights the circumference. Click there. Okay, so the circumference of A, and remember you can do all of your calculations right in here. So my circumference is going to be either the diameter times pi or 2 times the radius by times pi. So since I already have the radius, as opposed to the diameter, I know we could figure it out, but we're going to do that as we type in here. I'm going to do 2 times the radius, 83.7, times pi 3.14. And it will calculate your circumference for you. And so this is where it's very important to be careful. When we calculate the circumference, remember we are talking about the length around. So the radius was given to us in yards. So now we're talking about the length around this circle is going to be 525.636 yards. Okay, so this is a large circle here. And the reason for that, I think we can just use circumference as our reason. Yep. Okay, so now I want to now identify the arc to circle ratio. So from my arc length video, I told you guys that that's going to be our circumference, or actually, sorry, our arc measure divided by 360. Okay, so that's going to be the arc to circle ratio. This piece here is going to be 22.3. So the arc measure divided by 360. We're trying to find what fraction of the circumference that arc is. All right, and our reason there is just that arc to circle ratio. Okay, and then that actually just extends it to the last part, finding our arc length. So the measure of GH is, so the measure of GH, our arc length, is going to be that 22.3 divided by 360, right here, 0.0619, times our circumference. Okay, so I'm going to use the decimal they give us, 0.0619, that comes from right there, times, just open up parentheses, the circumference that I calculated last, 525.636. And the reason that's how you find arc length is because we're taking, this is the fraction of the circle that arc length is, and I'm multiplying that by the circumference to find what length of that total circumference that fraction represents, and it's about 32.5 yards. And that is our arc length. All right, so most of these problems are very similar to this one. Use this as a guide to continue the rest of the works.